word prodigy is one of those things where I always feel like people who are like, you're a prodigy, you're amazing. I was like, you don't know how bad I am. Like, I always felt like, I was like, I'll show you, Sarah Chang is a prodigy. Honestly, I started late for a composer, like 11, 12, like, I mean, I had friends I went to Juilliard with who, they were like reaching out of their mother's wombs, like playing, Chopin. And, like born with an oboe. It's ridiculous. I didn't really hit a stride in it until I was in my mid to late teens almost. I mean, I was clear, there was clearly something. But also all that notion of sort of prodigyness, I feel like is wrapped up with a romantic idea of composer or musician as hero, or composer or musician as special. And one of the things I always think about, which is like, the composers that I love the most, and I'm thinking, and this is from, Bird, Tallis, Gibbons, Bach, they're essentially government employees. Like, Bach's job was like being like, the postmaster of some small town. Like, he had an amount of music that had to get written every week. And, forget prodigy. It's like he had to, it was, there's no time to think about what that meant. He just had to write it, and it had to be there because the choir was coming. The house in which I grew up in Providence had a piano in it. That was one of these things that was so far in the basement that, it was an area of the basement we never went to. And then we realized that this piano, it wouldn't be a terrible idea to bring it upstairs, and that perhaps someone should learn how to play it, and that there being a child in the house, it probably should be me. So I learned a lot really quickly by being obsessive is exactly the right word. I would get a CD and I would get a score, and I would just have to know it in its entirety. And until I had become like, until I knew the whole thing backwards and forwards and upside down, and I had become like mistress of its contents. Do you know what I mean? Like in the sense that I had to possess everything. I couldn't just have like a casual relationship with the score. One of the advantages of growing up in a family with an artist at the helm, as it were, is that you understand that being an artist is a possible thing, right? This is a thing that you can do. There was always a lot of kind of noise around what it meant to be an artist and what that translated to as an actual life. Listening to Grimes like on the floor of my parents' house, it was just one of those experiences where I thought, I don't know what just happened, but it was a big deal. And because I feel like I finally felt like I was in an actual conversation with, like whatever the like music telepathy thing is, that had happened, and I was like, okay, this is happening now. And so that felt like a big moment. But I think I was like 15 or 16. I prefer to think of myself as in the Workman chapter of your book. I'll cross out prodigy and write Workman in crayon.